Hi, my name's Tiffany.
And I'm Carson.
And this is our movie review on Death on the Nile.
So Death on the Nile is based on an Agatha Christie novel. While on the Nile, Detective Hercule Poirot must investigate the murder of a young heiress. So this movie was directed by Kenneth Branagh and stars basically every famous person ever. There's Gal Gadot, Emma Mackey, Russell Brand, Letitia Wright from Black Panther, and they all played their parts very well in this very convoluted murder mystery.
Yeah, I really liked it. Like you said, there were so many famous people there. I think that's what caught my attention to actually watch it. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, Emma Mackey. I actually really loved Emma Mackey's performance.
No, I thought she was one of the standouts of the cast for sure.
Yeah, she really was.
She really kind of sold the betrayed lover to well methodically planned murder, like surprisingly well. Tom Bateman as Book, Poirot's friend, he was another standout for me.
I was always suspicious of him. So I know he was supposed to be like the friend of the detective, so I was like, oh, okay, like that's why you're going along with him to like question everybody. Since you're kind of going along with the detective, you already know what to expect whenever he's questioning you.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot and then Tom Bateman as Book were the only two cast members to come over from Murder on the Orient Express, because this is an indirect sequel to that movie, and he did have something to do with the whole murder plot. Not necessarily doing any of the murders, but he did take some hush money to not talk about it. The thing with Book was that Book is never a character in the original book. I did read the Death on the Nile novel a couple years ago. That was one of the critiques I had on this movie, is that it did stray quite a bit from the source material. They cut a lot of characters out, some very key characters that come in later in the novel to that really make the mystery make more sense. At the same time, it makes sense. You can develop more characters in 400 pages than you can in a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the writers have a chance to, have their own take on a very loved book. And, of course, you can only do so much in 2 hours and 7 minutes. They try to condense it as much as they can while also adding their own spin to it. So I really liked it.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought it was very good.
I mean, I haven't read any of the books or watched the original movie, but,
No, yeah, even with knowing the ending that was coming because I had read the book and knowing some of the parts, I still very much so enjoyed the movie and watching Poirot uncover the mystery as it went along. And Kenneth Branagh is just really great as Hercule Poirot. He brings this really fun energy of yeah, I'm the greatest detective alive, and I know it, so I mean business. It honestly did feel a little bit like an old, classic mystery movie.
I mean, the soundtrack kind of also, brought you into that.
Oh, absolutely.
Is there anything that you didn't like?
My big thing, my big critique with the movie would just be the pacing. It takes a while to build up to the murder and the investigation. I get that you have to introduce the characters and the main conflict that leads to the murder. This is a 2-hour movie, and they don't get on the actual boat that the murder takes place on until 45 minutes into the movie. Once the murder does happen and the investigation starts, it was impossible to look away from the screen from there.
Like you said, it was much slower paced than I thought it was going to be at the beginning, and then as soon as the murder unraveled on it, things happening left and right, there's more murders. Someone finds another clue. In Knives Out, I think there's so much more details to figure out than in this film, which is why I came with that expectation. It's it's going to be kind of similar to Knives Out because they're both mysteries.
Whodunits, yeah.
Yeah, and not everyone was equally a suspect.
Oh,
for example,
definitely.
Louise. I don't know why she would be a suspect in this.
Yeah. They introduce some characters that are important to the plot, but when they spend 10 minutes in an interrogation with a character that you've never suspected, it feels almost like a little bit of a waste of time. And my only other critiques, I mean, sometimes the green screen was really bad. I usually am not one to point out technical flaws, but there was some pretty bad green screen in there. But for contrast, there was also some very beautiful cinematography, some very beautiful shots of Egypt, the desert, the river, which is why it was so confusing when there was just the worst green screen I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, overall, I do not have a lot of complaints about the movie. I'd recommend it. You don't maybe need to rush out to a theater to see it. If you want to wait till it's $5 to rent on iTunes, then go for it. By all means, wait for that. But I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10, I'd say.
I would give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching our movie review on Death on the Nile. We'll see you in our next video.